Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome everybody. It is episode 49 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name's Catherine Erdley. I am your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group for creative product businesses. You can find out more and join up at resilientretailclub.com. I'm really excited today. We are joined by a good friend of mine, Joanne Griffin. I've been working with Joanne for the last 3 years now. We've done all different things together, including workshops and courses, including our Get Set for Christmas course, which is now in its 3rd year, which combines my love of planning and Joanne's love of product to help you get ready for Christmas. In this episode, we're going to be exploring a little bit more about why it's a good idea for you to get ready for Christmas now or to start thinking about it now, even though, fingers crossed, the sun is shining when you're listening to this episode. Welcome to the podcast, Jo.
Hi, Catherine. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, so fantastic to have you. Do you want to start off by just telling everyone a little bit about you?
So hi, everyone. My name's Joanne Griffin, and I run a business called the Creative Flow Collective. But I was previously called Arnold and Bird. I've recently rebranded, so you may know me by that name as well. And I class myself as a retail mentor. So I help predominantly home gift and lifestyle brands grow their sales, develop their product range, and just build their brand awareness. And I've been in the retail and e-commerce business industry for about 13 years. Starting off, I did a design degree at university. Then I went on to work in a bricks and mortar shop, doing everything from wholesale, visual merchandising, managing. Most of my training was at notandhighstreet.com. I spent 7.5 years there, joined when it was like 18 people, left when it was 200. So I did lots from merchandising, trend forecasting and product development with the sellers there. And then going on to work for another small business after that, where I know how it feels, wearing all the hats, doing all the different roles, learnt a lot there as well. And then, I've always just wanted to have my own business. So it's been a journey from starting off in lots of different things, but settling on retail mentoring and helping people and bringing in that mindset aspect as well, because I trained as a yoga teacher last year. So I love talking about things like that as well.
Putting the hyphen and the multi-hyphenate.
Yes. I feel like everyone's like that. I think you can't just pinhole yourself, can you? Everyone is multi-passionate for sure.
And what I love about working with you, and we'll talk a little bit more about what all the things that we've done together, but is that you have this really commercial knowledge, but then you've also got this, you did your design degree, you've developed your own products, you've worked in product development and all the trend forecasting and design elements as well. I think that's what you bring so much wealth of knowledge when it comes to actually creating products.
Oh, thanks. I just need you to do my sales for me. I love being like commercial, but I'm also full of ideas. So, which I do have to like rein in as well. And equally when I do speak with my clients too, it's like, great, we've got all the ideas, but we need to hone these down, pair it with the sales analysis, with the market research, your customer, your purpose. And I love coming up. Ideas is definitely my jam.
Brilliant. And so to talk a little bit about our background. So it was I've confirmed 2017, I met Elizabeth Stiles, fashion brand consultant, through a Facebook group that we were both in. We got chatting and she said, I have this great person, Joanne, who you met her through Instagram.
Yes.
We'd been talking about doing a workshop together. Elizabeth and I have been talking about doing a workshop. And you and Elizabeth had also been talking about doing a workshop together about how to start a product business, basically. And then Elizabeth said, why don't we all meet up and discuss it? And we went for this. I still remember that we had this like super like 70s meal. I don't know why. It was like pina coladas and
just because both Elizabeth and I lived outside of London and you lived inside of London in the south, and we just met up over cocktails on this one random night, and we basically planned out this workshop, this day workshop, and then we're like, great, right, got the date, got the outline, let's start promoting it.
Let's do it. And it was the first day. We ran it on September 2018, and it was the first day Elizabeth had quit her job the day before.
Oh, yes. She was hungover.
So she hadn't quit her job the day before. I should say she'd left her job. So she'd worked out her 3 months notice. And this was like her first day of self-employment. And we were running this workshop in Southeast London, actually. It was so funny. But I think the thing that really kind of drew us together was that, for anyone listening who's not familiar with the structure of a large retailer, I mean, I don't know why you would be, but there you go, that there are always 3 teams in the product section, or the product teams are the design team, which is your background, the buying team, which is Elizabeth's background, and the merchandising team, which is my background. So we felt like between the 3 of us, we kind of covered that spectrum of experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we ran, how many times did we run the workshop? Probably about 6 or 8 times, I feel like we were running it.
I mean, I think it was up to 8, because we ran the home and gift one a couple of times and the fashion one around at least 5 times, I think. So it was, we would have still been doing them, I think, but COVID kind of put a stop to that. But we do, when we can, we have got ideas of us 3 coming back together and doing fun things again.
I can't wait. Definitely. I feel like physical in-person events are going to come back once we can actually confirm they can go ahead. But then we'd also, since then, we've done talks together, including that memorable time that we all turned up to this online talk wearing the same stripy top, which was totally unplanned. But I'll have to find the footage for that somewhere, because that was really hilarious. And then we've done all kinds of different things, talks. And then in 2019, you and I first created this Get Set for Christmas, which was really about, again, combining my planning experience. And I'd come from Paper Chase, which is like a super Christmas focused business. And of course, you've been working at nottonhighstreet.com, creating trend and product ideas for people for their Christmas sales. So it just seemed like a really great combination. And we've run this. So this year we completely updated it, but this will be our 3rd year with our Get Set for Christmas course.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite things to update every year as well. And I think it's just such a great little course. And I think the reason why we work together, and me, you and Elizabeth all work well together, is that we have different roles, but then we kind of overlap as well, which is what I love. So it's just basically big retail geeks, aren't we?
Collaboration over competition.
Yeah, for sure.
We're walking the walk. So what were you talking about today, apart from the lovely moment of reminiscing over how we know each other, which is always fun when we go over it, because it's just been so nice that we've all been growing our businesses alongside each other. What we wanted to talk about today is today's podcast episode is all about Christmas. And let's kick off with, why do small businesses need to get ready for Christmas so early? If you're listening to this thinking, how can you possibly be talking about Christmas in the summer? We're actually kind of a little bit late, possibly sort of slightly on the back foot, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think like a lot of the big retailers, which I think we'll go on to talk about, will be prepping much earlier than this. But I think, the reason you want to get ahead is because you don't want to be stressed out at Christmas time. So the more you can have a plan that can change, it's best to just have a plan and then you can alter it. But I think planning ahead is super key, because there's just so much that goes into Christmas that you want to get your Christmas products ready, which can be festive and gifting as well, or for the home, there's a whole range of products there. But then you want to think about any markets you want to do, any messaging, all the stock you've got to get in. Like there's just so many things you need to think about. So, and the summer is the ideal time for this because it's quieter time. So you can take advantage of that. So yeah, that's just a couple of the reasons, but to less stress and to have more peace of mind for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to be able to secure everything that you want. So when we talk about things like product photography, if you use a popular photographer who's going to be taking photos for a lot of product businesses for their Christmas ranges, they're going to get booked up. So you want to really, my rule of thumb generally is if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like you have too much to do, you have to think about elongating the time frame. So you can get anything done if you give yourself enough time. And that's the same for Christmas. I mean, it's such a huge crunch time. It's 1/3 of all retail sales are taken in the 6 weeks in the run up to Christmas. So that is a huge amount of sales in your business and possibly in your business. It'd be interesting to see people listening, if you almost were able to look at the sales week by week, what percentage of sales do you take in November and December? Because it could be more than that. It could be up to say 40% or even 50% of your sales for the year could be taken in that time period. So it's a long run up to make sure that everything goes to plan and you don't fall over the first week of December and just have to shut it all off because it's all got too much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you want to have those services booked in and the right envelopes that you want instead of using backup suppliers. And there's just more opportunities as well if you can get prepared in advance, especially if you sell on online marketplaces, not on highstreet.com or working on their Christmas catalogue. Right now their submissions closed, I think, in May. And press long lead times as well. Christmas in July is a thing. There is normally a day in July where all the retailers will have one day where they put out all their Christmas products and all the journalists will go around. So if you want to be in those long lead glossies, you need to have your Christmas products ready and be submitting them, sending off your press releases kind of thing. So yeah, it's not just around having a plan and less stress. It's getting the right products, the right services, and those right opportunities for yourself as well.
Because everybody else, well, not everybody else, but a lot of other businesses will be thinking about Christmas early too. So by you getting in on the action earlier, then it means that you're not going to be arriving in September, October, suddenly think, I should really book myself in on some Christmas events, and then realize that all of the best ones were taken ages ago.
Yeah, especially this year with after COVID and not being as many Christmas markets, I think people are going to be really desperate to book in for those if they're going ahead. So it's definitely something to consider for sure, getting ahead. But that was the one thing I was going to say was that I do think small businesses are getting more prepared in advance. I don't know if we're just talking about it more, and
we're rubbing off on them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think people are getting more prepared, or at least they're starting to think about it and not thinking it's so weird. So yeah, I am really happy to see that as well.
I think it is really important to just touch on, just to kind of give people an idea. If you think that this sounds really dramatic to be talking about Christmas now, just to say that a big retailer, so for example, somebody like Paperchase, we would be starting Christmas planning, probably so November 2020, you'd start planning for Christmas 2021, if that makes sense. So you wouldn't even get all the way through the Christmas season before you started thinking about the next season, getting the next big Christmas. So getting ideas together, getting thoughts together. And I suppose the other thing as well is that actually during Christmas is when it's a great time for you to get ideas. I know this is kind of late saying this now in the summer, but if you want to get inspiration for the following year's Christmas, the best time to do it is when the shops are full of Christmas product. All of the emails that you're receiving are talking about Christmas. So kind of when you're immersed in it.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, big retailers do prepare for Christmas early. And that's because, one of the reasons is Christmas is going on for everyone else. So you can look at their marketing messages, their products, what have they done? What is working for them? All of these types of things. So, and it's so much easier to, start making notes, taking photos, taking screenshots at that time. Then it comes to January and I'm like, oh, what happened again? I was really busy. There was something that this company did that I really liked. It's just sort of, this is why you start picking out the bits that you need and then can go on and do all the other things you need to do to plan out your Christmas as well.
Exactly, because you'll tell yourself you'll remember, but you absolutely 100% won't, because there'll be so much other stuff going on. The other thing I think it's really important to make it really clear when we talk about this is we're not talking about copying. We're not talking about saying, oh, I like that design, I'm going to use that design myself next year and not give the person any credit. I'm not talking about that at all. In fact, I think often the best kind of inspiration for products, and I know that you said this before, Jo, is that when you're maybe even being influenced by something completely unrelated to your product area. So it may be that you're a jewelry brand, but there was like a food business that had a really fun kind of messaging that you think to yourself, I really like the tone of voice, or I really like the kind of things they're saying. And then you think about how it can work for your business. So it's absolutely not about copying things.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because like I said, it's not just about like looking at products. It's about like messaging, like any kind of types of marketing that you've seen people doing, whether it be styles of graphics or certain types of videos or any kind of guerrilla marketing that's going on, like leafleting or whatever it is. But yeah, it's looking across like the whole spectrum of how to promote products and promote your business kind of thing. And definitely the best thing you can do when you're developing your product, one of the best things, is looking outside of your niche for sure.
Get used to fresh ideas, because it's so hard to be inspired. And I think that it'd be interesting to hear if you've heard the same things from your clients, Jo. But I know that I've heard from a lot of people that actually, because we've been in lockdown for a big portion of the year, that people have found it really hard to get inspiration for products, because normally if they could just go out and see some of the big guys like Selfridges, always are really sort of forward with their visual merchandising, their product choices, their messaging, but you can't even go out and, well, you can now, but for a long time you couldn't. But hopefully it makes people really appreciate how important that getting the inspiration is. And I always used to laugh when I worked in big retailers, because the buying teams would be like, I think the buying team need to go to Los Angeles. The buying and design teams need to go to Los Angeles on an inspiration trip. And I would always be like, oh, I mean, come on, like
you don't need to do that.
But actually
you do.
You need to go somewhere if you're, especially I suppose even for the bigger, maybe even particularly for the bigger retailers, because they're seeing the same influences over and over. You kind of, the only way to stand out really is to go see something different that maybe other people in your niche aren't looking at.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing with using inspiration or trends. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but inspiration, you've got to time it with it being relevant. So that's sort of knowing what else is going on and things like that. But then bring that inspiration back to your purpose and what makes you unique as a business, and also tying that in with what your customer wants. So it's like these three things that need to merge together that will help your product development and then make you unique, so you're not copying as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. How you interpret it for your business. Well, you mentioned the T word there, trends. So you said a lot of people don't like to talk about them, but do you want to just touch on what is a trend and why is it important for all businesses?
Yeah, so the way I like to think about trends is much more like the macro trends. So these are, the bigger picture of how a customer's behavior is changing. So the customer's attitude will change first, but it's only when their behavior changes alongside of that like a trend or a movement tips into the mainstream. So like I said, so this is all about sort of being relevant and like meeting your customer where they're at. So there's no point. Well, some businesses I know just from working with the Christian marketplace Cheerfully Given, I've done a few talks for them. I know that their customer base is not as forward thinking as some other customers. So maybe something for them like keep calm and carry on still does well. But then for the majority of customers, that is not going to do well. So again, it's not just saying like, yeah, that is not in. It's just meeting your customer where they're at. But equally, looking at those bigger macro elements, because trends are going to impact all businesses, from food, technology, home, stationery. It's not just fashion. And to develop new products, you've got to be inspired and relevant. So I just like to think of trends more, if you want to word it, as more inspiration, but matched with that consumer behavior as well. And it's, so it's not just about pineapples and pugs.
Although we love both pineapples and pugs.
People make a lot of money out of, faddy trends like that. So, it. But it's good to sort of think about the sort of bigger picture, which again, like in like the trends I do for the Christmas course, I talk about where this trend originates from and things like that, just to give it some context.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it always reminds me, I spent a long time working in clothing brands which were described as mature female fashion. So these brands, we would typically need to know we need to kind of keep an eye on trends, but we knew that our customer wasn't going to wear them the first season. But after they'd seen, their auntie and maybe not their auntie, maybe that's not the right, maybe their niece or their daughter or their daughter's friends wearing something, after a while they would have got comfortable with it and then they would want to wear it. So even if you wouldn't say, oh, it's a fashion brand, you would still need to know kind of what, and also kind of, as you said, even bigger than that. So it could be more about how the way that people dress is changing, or we've certainly seen that during the pandemic. There was the big rise in loungewear and athleisure wear, and now it's more moving back towards people are now spending on slightly more formal clothes because they need to refresh them because they've only worn jogging buttons for a year. There's all that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is to remember about with trends as well, it's just sort of you're constantly being inspired by everything you see around you. So like you just touched on earlier as well, Catherine, about how Selfridges are really forward thinking in their visual merchandising. And I think visual merchandising is an amazing place to spot new trends that are going to come out, because I think it's kind of an easy way for people to like test, or big retailers to test themes and see how their customers are responding. And it's just you're constantly being inspired by everything you see around you, so and that then leads into the changes in behavior, the design styles people are picking up on, whether you feel like you're following trends or not, in inverted commas. It's it's all of the inspiration that's feeding into everyone, because if Pantone are going to come out with a lilac color, there's going to be more lilac, whether you like lilac or not at the start. It will start filtering into your subconscious.
That's the thing. I think that's the thing that's so fascinating about trends and consumer behavior, is that we might like to think that we're not being influenced by these things, but we totally are. And as you say, it's all of a sudden you think to yourself, I really want a bright green dress, and you're not even really sure where that came from, but it probably was, you saw it, various different people wearing it, and maybe you didn't even register, but after a while you just suddenly, like, this color starts coming through to you. Or I suppose the other thing as well, I'd say, is if you're somebody who's ever thought anything about your packaging, whether it's sustainable, recyclable, how to cut out waste in your business, you are in fact being influenced by a trend effectively. I mean, it's not dismissive to call sustainability and eco considerations a trend, because it's a macro trend. It's a huge shift in consumer behavior, but it's still, that would fit under the banner of trends, right?
Yeah, it definitely started out as a trend. I like to call it more of like a movement now, but it's definitely one of the huge macro trends, because it's something that just keeps coming in. You can't just not talk about, sustainability or, being regenerative in the circular economy and things like that. It shifts slightly the way it comes through, because people are like learning more and then they're trying to be better. But it's something that keeps coming through for sure. It's about taking that trend, but being relevant with your purpose and your customer. So, it's not just, there's no point saying, oh, I love these lime green colors, and you're like some sort of minimal Scandi brand. And it's like, if you really wanted to bring them in, could you bring it through in your packaging, or a little stitch on something, but then it's maybe like, no, I like it, but it's not right for my company, because that's why you bring it back to your purpose and your customer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. So getting ready for Christmas saves you stress, gets you all of the best opportunities, basically, doesn't it? It means that you're organized, you're ahead, and then knowing what the trends are can at least help you create products that are relevant and ultimately more attractive to your customers.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think we sort of touched on it a bit before, but with like comp shopping at Christmas, if you can get out, and I know it's a busy time, but anything you can do to get out and look at what's going on during the Christmas period is good, just because It's just different ways you can then speak to your customers the next year as well. It's just good to know, not either copy or feel comparing yourself to competitors, or even not even competitors, just other businesses. But yeah, just having that bit of a focus of inspiration from what is, being relevant and what is going on around you as well. Because like we said, like lots of big retailers do this. And, it just helps them put together concepts and ideas for what they can do next time as well, for sure.
Absolutely. And also thinking about the fact that try Googling Christmas in July, see what pops up. Because sometimes that can be really interesting in order to get an idea. Some of the big retailers, if they show what some of their Christmas products are going to be, they're showcasing them, it'll help give you a sense of what they see happening for Christmas. And it's always worth keeping an eye on what they're doing, because yes, it may not be right for your market, but it will kind of give you a sense of where they're seeing Christmas going this year, or what they think will be the big themes.
Yeah, exactly. And like then your customer, because you got to remember as well, your customer doesn't just shop with you, they're going to shop with other small businesses, big retailers, and they're going to be seeing lots of things. So it's meeting them where they're at. I think as well, especially because going back as well, Catherine, and what you're saying, that it's been a hard year for getting inspired and product development over the pandemic. So if you can have that support system of like chatting with business friends as well, like I know for me over the past couple of years, chatting with other businesses has been a lifeline. And so and even if you're a product-based business, still do that as well, because it's just so you can bounce ideas off each other if they're people you trust. Always liken it to being back at university. People could just come along and mention something and it'll just spark other ideas for you. So definitely have that. Collaboration is key, I think, for sure.
Fantastic. Well, Jo, do you want to tell us a little bit more about where people can find you?
Yes. So my website is thecreativeflowcollective.com, and on Instagram, I'm at Creative Flow Collective. I think that's for most things now. I think I still need to check the Pinterest. I need to update. No, the Pinterest has updated actually. So everything's been updated. So Creative Flow Collective. I've got a podcast as well. So I share inspiration on product development, trends, retail mindset. I share meditations on there as well. And I do things like that over on my Instagram too. So and I've actually got a trend guide as well, 2021 trends with product inspiration in, if you sign up to my newsletter at the moment too. So
amazing. And of course we have our Get Set to Christmas course. We'll put all of the links to that in the show notes as well, but you get lifetime access to the course, which is pretty nice. So every year that we run it, when we update it, you'll get access to the latest Christmas. I'm not quite sure where that came from.
Christmas goodness.
Christmas trends. And you also get a checklist to help you get ready for Christmas. We go through everything month by month, what you need to be doing. And we talk about planning, peak, getting ready for peak, and of course the all important products. And you have a fabulous Christmas trend board, which is so inspiring. And we even include trends from the previous years, 2019 and 2020, just to kind of spark even more ideas to help you get ready for Christmas.
Yeah, because they're not changing like wildly each year. It is just that movement on and just different ideas. And it's just there, to help inspire you, take the little bits out that feel good to you, but it's super actionable and it just really helps you plan ahead. And just had like the best feedback on it, which has been super nice over the past couple of years.
Glide into Christmas feeling calm, confident and prepared. That's the goal.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we all want.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. If you have a minute and you would rate and review the podcast, I would be so incredibly grateful. I read all of the reviews and it really means the world to me. How about coming over to Instagram, finding me at Resilient Retail Club, saying hello, or sharing where you are when you're listening to the podcast. I love to see what people are up to. And if you want to know more about the Get Set for Christmas course that we talk about in this episode, then take a look in the show notes. There's a link. And if you use the code podcast10 to get 10% off. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.